Wheels coming off for Tennessee? Maybe. This game against Houston, which they lost 13-12. Houston was like stacking the box to stop the run pretty much. They contained Chris Johnson and Lendell White and said, "Okay, Kerry Collins, beat us. We dare you. Beat us." And he couldn't. He was just off target all day. One thing I will say is Kerry Collins likes Justin McCarons a little bit too much. Yeah, most of his receivers are crap, but I would take Justin Gage and Bo Scaife and maybe even Algie Crumpler over Justin McCarons. So, I don't know why he likes to throw to McCarron so much, but I think he should stay away from that a little bit more because he drops a lot of passes. It's not good. And, at the end of the game, Tennessee had a chance to kick the game-winning field goal, and, they opted not to do it because they didn't have the wind, and Jeff Fisher said straight up, I didn't think my kicker could make it. I pretty much knew my kicker couldn't make it, which, that's fine. But why are you throwing it deep? That it doesn't make any sense to me. It's 4th and 3. Just go for a little quick pass that'll get you the first down and plug away. It didn't make any sense. So, and now the Titans have lost Albert Haynesworth until the playoffs, and Kyle Vanden Bosch until the playoffs, and that'll probably cost them home field advantage unless they can pull out a gem against Pittsburgh this week. So, Wheels, they've fallen off. And how about Andre Johnson? Man, he's just had a great season. He's been a joy to watch. He's really helped this Houston team get to 500 status. Matt Schaub, the $50 million man, is putting it together, and that's great for him. That's great for that franchise. They couldn't afford to overpay somebody like what we thought Matt Schaub would be like. Slayton, obviously big game from him. He should be going to the Pro Bowl over a couple other guys that made it. We'll talk about the Pro Bowl later. Although, Titans, what do you think you're doing single covering Andre Johnson? I know you have Cortland Finnegan and you like him a lot, but come on, is Andre Johnson. Colts Lions. Once again, the Lions gave it everything they had. They took advantage of 3 Keon Ratliff fumbles, one of which was because of a crap call by the official. There was obvious interference, and the other 2 were just him fumbling it. They punched it into the end zone twice. Calvin Johnson had a big game. Kevin Smith had a good game. Orfalorski avoided turnovers. The offensive line played out of their mind. Hell, even Jason Hansen hit a 50-yard field goal. So, and the defense actually got some pressure on Manning early. So, I gotta say, they gave it their all, but it wasn't enough. The Colts are just a better team. At the end of the day, Peyton Manning was money. Dominic Rhodes filled in very nicely for Anthony Gonzalez, and can't say enough about Dallas Clark. He just completely roasted the Detroit secondary. Big game for him. And Reggie Wayne, too. Props to Marvin Harrison. He passed Tim Brown on the all-time receptions list. He has a chance to pass, I think, Chris Carter before this season is over. One thing about this game, though, the Colts could not get any quarterback pressure. Freeney and Mathis were like non-factors. Maybe it's the defensive tackle situation, but that's a concern, a big concern for the playoffs. That's what killed them last year. Jets, Bills. I want to sit here and say that the Jets look like they're a Super Bowl contender, and they won this game, and hurrah for that, but they should be thanking God that Dick Jauron was on the other side. Their lucky is I don't know what, and I cannot sit here and honestly say that everything is fine with the Jets. I'm not a Jets fan. I don't really care if the Jets win the Super Bowl this year or not, but I like to root for storylines, and Brett Favre winning the Super Bowl this late in his career and then probably going off to retire would be a great storyline. So that's one of the things that would be kind of cool. You know, this game, it's like the Jets' run defense is supposed to be the best part of that team, and they couldn't do anything against the Bills. Marshawn Lynch was breaking tackles. It was awful tackling by the Jets, really bad. Marshawn Lynch, again, he shredded them. And that was kind of the story of this game. It was all about Marshawn Lynch breaking tackles left and right. Brett Favre was off. Other than the one big run by Leon Washington, the Jets couldn't run the ball. It was like watching that game. It had no flow. I thought it was like both sides were not playing very well in all aspects, and it looked like the Bills had it, and they decided to give the game to the Jets by calling that pass play with 2 minutes left that just made no sense. So Jets, you guys don't know how lucky you are right now, because if the Bills punt instead of fumbling it like that, Brett Favre is not going to lead you down for a touchdown drive. Watching him play that day, I could just tell it wasn't in him. But all they got to do is beat Seattle this week, and they'll be headed for a division deciding game against the Miami Dolphins. Alright, Vikings Cardinals. You know, it's like this game was like one of probably the last chance for Arizona to say, you know what, we're going to go into the playoffs. We have a chance to beat somebody in the playoffs, and they failed miserably. All their flaws were coming out of this game. They can't run the ball, but we knew that. But the thing is, their passing game is not completely trustworthy. So if, for whatever reason, Kurt Warner and the receivers and the pass blocking or whatever doesn't show up for one game, they are just completely done. So, and defensively, you know, their defense actually was pretty good at most points this year, but in this game, Adrian Peterson just made his case for the MVP big time. Tavares Jackson wasn't great, but he was very efficient. If they'll take that kind of game from Tavares Jackson 100 times out of 100. Bernard Berrien had, you know, a receiving touchdown and a punt return touchdown, so he's worth the money after all, maybe. He's making some nice plays this year, a lot of big plays, and you know, just like we saw every flaw this Arizona team has on the field in full display. And it's got to be unsettling for them, because they look like a first-round sacrificial lamb right now. Patriots Raiders, pretty much what I expected. Matt Castle's numbers are not quite as good as Brett Favre's numbers when he played the Raiders right after his dad died, but they're very good. So this got commented on a couple times, that when Brett Favre's father died, he played the Raiders and torched them. Matt Castle's father died, he played the Raiders and torched them. So that's kind of cool, I guess. Kind of. You know, great offensive show by New England, obviously running the ball. They dominated just about everything they could in this game. Randy Moss actually schooled Nnamdi Asomugha, so he's the best. He's the best. Not a lot else to say about this game, but I will say we need to see more Darren McFadden touches in the last 2 games of the year, and Jamarcus Russell looked competent in this game, so there's hope for the future. No, there isn't in Oakland. There's no hope for the future until Al Davis dies, I think. As horrible as that is. Pittsburgh-Baltimore. I saw the end of this game. Very good game, very close, very defensive. You know, you look at the score and say, oh man, this game was boring. It really wasn't. It was a very solidly played game. You know, the biggest play of this game that nobody's talking about is Baltimore was up by 3. They had the ball in field goal range. It was 3rd down. Joe Flacco takes a sack, fumbles, and McGahee recovers like 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Forces the punt. If they kick a field goal there and they make it, they probably win that game, and nobody's talking about that play, so I'm just saying. As for the touchdown at the end that everybody's talking about, I thought it was a touchdown, but I'm very surprised that they overturned it because I didn't see anything conclusive. It's a tough loss for the Ravens. Flacco couldn't step up at the end. Ben, I suppose, did. But it was a very good game, and Baltimore, if you win out, you're in, and you definitely got a chance to do that. So I hope to see them in the playoffs because I do appreciate the way they play the game.